Well, hello and welcome to this very special episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. I'm your host, Chris Green, Director of Network Expansion for Avoya Travel. And as always, we thank you for your time and your attention to our weekly broadcast. And man, all of that time, all of that attention, it's certainly adding up today because here we are at our 150th episode of On Deck with Avoya. Kind of hard to believe, I know, for me and for the team. Because when we first started this show in late October of 2020, there was so much uncertainty. I just wasn't even sure if I'd get more than 150 seconds before getting the hook. You know what I mean? So here we are, 3+ years later at episode 150, going strong. And I'm so excited to mark this occasion when one of the most amazing guests that our show has had to date. I mean, who else would you invite to celebrate such a milestone for a program whose whole focus and full attention is the travel agent and travel advisor community than the head of ASTA, American Society of Travel Advisors, whose whole mission is promoting and defending the travel agent profession. So I'm thrilled beyond belief that we can make the timing work out and have Zane Kerby, President and CEO of ASTA, as our exclusive 150th episode guest for On Deck with Avoya. And Zane will be joining us here in just a moment. After that exclusive Q&A, we'll quickly wrap up our show with a preview of next week's guest, run down things like our current promotions, the Avoya Travel Academy, the amazing resources offered to those in the Avoya network, our social media channels, and of course, all the ways that you can stay in touch and start the process to affiliate with the #1 host agency in leisure travel, and that's Avoya Travel. All right, time for the good stuff. For the last 3+ years, I've cherished the opportunity to interview some of the biggest names and luminaries in leisure travel. But today, our 150th episode of On Deck with Avoya, it would seem, and I'm very proud of this, that we found a way to top even ourselves, as you won't find a more high-profile guest, a member of the travel community who is more respected than our featured guest today. Zane Kerby, President and CEO of ASTA, again, the American Society of Travel Advisors, heads the National Trade Association solely responsible for promoting and defending the travel agent profession. And trust me, they've had their hands full these last few years, but talk about getting it done. We love our numbers here at Avoya Travel. Did you know that members of ASTA represent 80%? Let that sink in. 80% of the travel sold in the United States through the travel agent distribution channel. So, and that includes all of the volume right here at Avoya Travel. So you'll understand if I'm a little bit over the top excited, completely honored, and incredibly humbled to welcome this week's exclusive Q&A guest to On Deck with Avoya, Mr. Zane Kerby. Zane, thanks so much for your time and helping us celebrate episode 150 here at On Deck with Avoya.
Hey, Chris, it's great to be with you, and congratulations on your sesquicentennial event here. That's a great accomplishment. Congratulations.
We certainly appreciate that very much. Zane, for those of us, our viewers who maybe are not as familiar with your background, can you give us a little bit of information about yourself, your history in the travel business, maybe why you love being in the travel profession and what led you to being the president and CEO of ASTA?
Sure, just a little bit. I've only had actually 3 jobs in my professional career. One of them was with a medical association many years ago. And then in 1999, I joined the Global Business Travel Association. And so I've been in nonprofit travel trade management for the last 25 years. And I've been here at ASTA now for 11 as CEO. So a lot of experience hosting events around the world, a lot of experience getting to know our suppliers and travel advisor members for again, about a quarter of a century, which sounds like a long time.
Amazing how those numbers add up, right, my friend?
Sure it is.
So right out of the gate, let me put you on the hot seat, Zane. Do you remember the first trip that you ever took that involved using a travel agent? And what are some of those memories?
Oh, the first trip that I ever travel agency. I'll tell you the most memorable trip that I ever had when I worked for the travel agency, and that was with Bob Duglin. Bob Duglin was ASTA's vice president of business development for many years, and unfortunately he passed away. But he had been a travel advisor before he joined the ASTA staff, and so he actually planned a trip during COVID for me and my family to tour the Southwest United States. We started in Phoenix and we went up all through the national parks in Utah and Arizona and into California, and ended our trip in San Francisco. I guess the first trip, so that was probably the most memorable trip that I've had planned by a travel advisor, and all the friction was taken out of the trip. And Bob just made sure that everywhere we were driving to the next day was was all sorted out and perfect. So such a wonderful shared memory. The first trip would have to be when I was in high school. The only time I'd been out of the country in high school, Chris, was my senior, I guess, seminar with our U.S. history class, and we got to go to Nice and Paris, and we went to Easter. We had Easter service with the Pope in Rome. It was an absolutely unbelievable trip, and it opened my eyes to the world of travel. And it was such a wonderful experience for me, and really kind of probably was the first thing to whet my appetite and give me a prelude of all the great things that were going to happen to me later in life, which was wonderful.
You really bookmarked that well. And of course, all of us here at Avoya Travel, we love Bob. He was such a great part of our community. He was one of the most kind and giving people I've ever had the chance to meet. And that was from the first time I ever entered the door and ever met him. He was just a ball of energy and so happy to welcome you and provide those information. And then to back in that with a great trip going away as a senior in high school and those amazing memories, really, two fantastic reasons why using a travel agent is always the smart business and smart way to go. Was travel important to you, Zane, and your family growing up, or what was travel like when you were, say, as a kid?
Yeah, not a whole lot of travel experiences other than just loading up a family wagon and going to the beach every year. So money was kind of scarce when I was a kid. So yeah, it's always been important to me, and some of my most vivid memories. One time as a child, we loaded up the family wagon and drove to Disney World here from Virginia. So that was an 18-hour trip. But I guess it was more sort of the aspirational dreaming phase of life that I didn't really know much about it again until I was a senior in high school. So once that happened, it was I was hooked. Just the sights and sound, the experience. I mean, Bill Clinton said something one time, Chris. He said, traveling is endemic to the human spirit. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, my goodness, he is absolutely 100% right about that. I mean, you need to get out and go and see. And I fully the travel bug bit me in high school, and I don't think it's left me since.
For sure. Help us get a big picture view of ASTA as a whole, Zane. What the overall mission is for your organization, and how it works to fulfill that mission. More importantly.
Yeah, you went through it at the beginning of the program, Chris. And ASTA's mission is to promote and defend the travel advisor community and our members in particular to all levels of government, within the industry itself, and to the traveling public. So what does that mean in practice? It means that we have a board of directors that we and I in particular answer to, and they're made up of people who are like-minded in your travel advisors in your community, right? We have folks that sit on our board of directors, 15 of them out of our 18,000 members, who direct the work that ASTA does, and they help us understand the activities that are important to them. And so any activity that we take up, anything we put energy and resource behind, it has a very simple, it's got to meet the level of our mission. It's got to live up to that. It's got to say, wait a minute, how does this jive with our mission? So I'll just give you a couple of quick examples. When suppliers, when they either take steps to, or if their behavior or policies, if they're not consistent in acknowledging the role that ASTA members play in serving our shared clients, ASTA is going to speak out about that. When the government doesn't quite understand how our business works and is trying to put misplaced responsibility on our members, that's when we'll speak out. If travel is your business as a travel advisor, then ASTA is your voice in some really important places. And what I'm really excited about is that we're gonna, the board has set aside some six-figure resources from reserves this year to really start promoting travel advisors in a more meaningful way than we have in the past.
I think that'll be fantastic because your mission's always been important, and no more so. I think just highlighted by everything that we went through because of the COVID crisis and how you guys were right there, grassroots, able to pick up the phone, get to the members of Congress, get to the state legislatures, and help at least inform and educate to the best of the ability. You know what I mean? So that we could have the back half that we're kind of experiencing right now. Would you agree with that?
The CARES Act, which is the most expensive piece of legislation in U.S. history, was negotiated in about 3 weeks. So you got to think I think the first sort of hearings that we were a part of were March 11th, and then that led in 2020, and then the COVID legislation passed on March 27th. So you think about the time, there was no time to kind of start relationships with members of Congress, right? If you weren't there, if you weren't actually in the mix, you were lost. And so it's really, really important to tell our story to our legislators and key regulators here in Washington, because no one's going to tell it for us. So I completely agree with you.
So when this airs, Zane, we're going to be right in the middle of it, right? What I would call next week's ASTA Global Convention will be this week's ASTA Global Convention going on in Dallas as we tape this about a week in advance. Talk to me a little bit about how important that event is to ASTA, then we'll jump in and talk about the advocacy dinner happening, on that Friday night as well.
Yeah, the ASTA Global Convention, it's actually been rebranded now. It's the ASTA Travel Advisor Conference. And so the Travel Advisor Conference is a place where you can sort of cross-pollinate. It doesn't matter what host or consortia or where your members are from. You can actually get in and see people from all different places throughout the United States. And you can see old friends. You can certainly make contacts with your supplier members. But it's a celebration of the profession. And it shows that we're big and we're strong and we're not alone. And it's really important that we gather once a year to kind of mark that important event.
And you were sharing with me off camera that there's been some really impressive growth this year coming into the event, right? I mean, unprecedented numbers. And what I think is amazing is that growth is coming from just a great source. Those that are new to the industry, those that are excited about finding out about what our industry has to offer. So should be a real win-win for everybody there.
Yeah, I think that people, deep in their souls, Chris, they want to work in an industry that everybody loves, right? I mean, I'm sure that people need sand and gravel, but I don't want to sell that for a living. I mean, people love travel and they understand it. I'll tell you, like, I go to events, we ask to host events all around the world. And sometimes we share meeting space with other industries, right? And whether it be engineers or doctors or architects, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. When you walk out into the hallway and you talk to them or you bump into them during one of their breaks, they're all talking about travel. They're all showing pictures of travel. I mean, we work in an industry that everybody loves. And so you're right. I mean, we're getting all this energy from folks that want to come in and who have an entrepreneurial spirit, who want to find a home here and sell travel for a living. That you get geographic flexibility, you get time flexibility, and you have an unlimited earning potential. So I agree with you. We're seeing an enormous amount of growth in the ASTA membership as well. And Avoya has been a fantastic partner in that. I mean, you've literally introduced 1,000 FTPs or future travel professionals, people who are just getting in the industry. You're telling them, listen, it's really important that you get hooked into the National Trade Association. And you have to become aware of that selling travel is not just the transactional part that you do with the customer, but there's all this stuff behind it. And I think it's really marvelous. You guys have been a fantastic partner in that regard. But yeah, we're super excited about the prospects of our profession as we move forward, because again, everybody loves travel, and there's a great way to earn a good living here too.
So on Friday night, as part of the Dallas event, will be the advocacy dinner where everybody's going to get all dressed up in their best of the best and black tie for the guys and those amazing, gowns for the ladies. Talk to me about how important that event is to ASTA in an overall picture, because certainly always good to see the purse strings open up and people put their money where their mouth is, right?
We do use it as a fundraising exercise, which is, I think, though, to your earlier point, it's about people getting together. It's about even competitors putting down their spears for one night and joining in and sort of marveling at this industry that we're all a part of, and how lucky we feel to actually be in it and to do something to make people's dreams magical, make their memories magical. I mean, think about that. We get to work in such a place. I mean, I go visit travel advisors all over the country, and it's really rare when I don't walk into someone's office and they have a basket full of thank you cards there from their customers. I mean, where else can you get that? It's an amazing night, and it's really just in honor of an amazing profession.
Absolutely. Another major event is the annual ASTA Legislative Days, right? This year scheduled in September, and our own Vice President of Network Expansion, Skip 48, always part of that every year. And our new Chief Sales Officer, Phil Capelli from Avoya Travel, going to be taking part this year. Can you talk to me a little bit about the history of Legislative Days? Because there's been some huge wins over the course of time. And of course, I'm sure you've got some things that you want to focus their attention on for 2024 as well.
Sure, yeah, and I love Skip. Skip and I have actually been in the trenches here on Capitol Hill together over the years, and it's been a great thing. We manage the relationships here on Capitol Hill for the other 364 days a year. But one day a year, we ask the members to come from all 50 states to come in and act as citizen lobbyists for the day. And we train you up, we give you talking points, and then we sort of set you loose on your representatives and your senators. And you meet with them, you meet with their staff, and you talk to them about issues that are important to your business. This is a really important exercise because travel agencies aren't as visible as they used to be 10 or 20, even 20 years ago. It used to be in malls and on street corners, and people would see even local branded names, and they'd understand that travel advisors were doing great business. So because we're less visible, it's more important that we come in once a year and show them living, breathing travel advisors that work in their communities and then have concerns. And we have a constitutional right to petition our government for redress. And this is one of these really unique experiences that you get to go and do. Now, there's because literally, I mean, when you think about a travel advisor, a lot of these young people coming up, and even some of our members of Congress who are a little bit longer in the tooth, the only travel advisor they can think of is Expedia, because that's what they see advertised on television. They don't understand that there's 180,000 people in the United States who sell travel for a living, but who qualify as small businesses, and therefore they need to be treated differently, right? We don't have money to hand back, thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in refunds like an Expedia would. We need to be treated a little bit differently, and they need to understand our business model so they can craft public policy that addresses it. And there have been some incredible fights over the years. It's not terribly sexy, and I don't want to get too nerdy on you here, Chris, but we fought to remove travel agencies from a Department of Labor blacklist that wasn't allowing them to have access to a retail service exemption. As travel agencies grow and you start hiring employees, this is going to be really important for a lot of the members there. In 2022, the Alaska Restoration Act, it temporarily suspended the PVSA so that Alaska cruise season could actually start up again. That was an enormous win. The refund issue that we talked about that actually passed the United States House of Representatives last year. It had language that ASTA staff crafted, and it passed the House. Unfortunately, it didn't survive the Senate process. But that's a really important thing for us to do, is to make sure that even though we have a temporary setback here, that we continue the fight. So this year it's a little bit early, but we obviously need to get this refund situation fixed. Under no circumstance, come October, should any ASTA member be expected to refund airline customers for canceled or altered flights. Like that can't stand. So we've got some work to do. And again, it's kind of a ticking, it's a deadline that's going to be, that the rule going to effect in October. So we got some work to do, and we'll certainly make that work. Avoya members coming to Legislative Day this year to petition our government officials on this issue is going to be really important.
Zane Kerby, President and CEO of ASTA, is our featured Meet the Industry guest today, and our special guest for our 150th episode of On Deck with Avoya. Zane, any advice that you might offer those new to the industry, those new travel agents, on ways that maybe they can think long-term about building a successful business?
Wow. I wasn't a travel advisor, so I can just give you what my 11 years at ASTA has kind of taught me. And that's really specialize, right? You want to get really great at a really specific either type of travel or place in the world where you're going to add value to every single transaction. Go there 10 times, right? You have every type of experience you can have in that specific place. Because artificial intelligence is going to make confident pronouncements about what is good and recommendations. It's already coming, it's already here. Like, you have to make sure that that your advice is based on actual experience and not some strange algorithm. So I would just say, you have to continue to stay extremely relevant to your customers, and I'd cozy up to them as much as I could. I know not only where they want to go in next year, where they want to go the year after that, what their kids' names are, what activities their kids want to do, who their loved ones, pets, everything. You really need to get in and understand your customer and become, stay relevant in their eyes. The other thing is, I don't think that there's room for a whole lot of generalists anymore. There's the tools are really powerful. People, people who already want to try. Some people want to plan trips on their own, and so you have to you have to show them in a very short amount of time that you're going to add value to their trip. And I know you do, but it's really important to be able to distill that down into really helping them understand it in a very fast manner.
Fantastic advice. Zane, before we wrap up, we've got a couple more, but I just wanted to first off give you an open forum if there was anything about ASTA or the travel agent profession that we haven't talked about, just thoughts in general that we haven't covered that you wanted to get out there.
Well, just two quick things. One of them is that we get a lot of media inquiries at ASTA every single day. That they want to know what trends are happening, what are people wanting to book, where do they want to go. But lately, there's only been two questions that we get from mainstream media. The first one is, isn't AI going to destroy the profession? And that's easily dismissed because, again, algorithms, software can give you probabilities. It cannot give you advice. And software is going to continue to give you probabilities faster and faster, and it's going to pretend it's advice. But advice is born of experience, and experience is a human attribute. So that one is easily dismissed. And when we talk to people about it, they kind of get it. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why AI is preferencing this particular recommendation over one over another. Maybe it's because someone paid them to do that. Maybe it's because it listened to 1,000 Russian chatbot recommendations, and it's just using most of those to formulate its own opinion. Like, you don't know where it's coming from. So again, that argument's easily dismissed. The second argument, though, is they want their viewers or their listeners to avoid fraud. And that's a problem for us, because a few bad apples can spoil the whole barrel. And that's why our profession has to be above reproach. And we're taking steps at ASTA to make sure that our Verified Travel Advisor program, there's about 2,000 verified travel advisors right now. We're really going to be promoting verified travel advisors as those who the public can trust. And again, the board of directors has set aside some money this year, so we're going to be sponsoring. Maybe we'll sponsor your podcast. That would be great, Chris. But it's really important. It's really important for us to get out there to make sure that the people who we're recommending are ethical. They've been in business for a while. They've proven sales and travel, and that they know how to run a business. And we're going to promote those people to the traveling public, and I think in a more robust way than we ever have before.
All 150 episodes of our show, Zane, have had the final question for our guests. It's a really simple one. You're the last person we're going to ask, too, because we're switching it up finally, going into episode 151. But the question is this: knowing all you know, your time in the industry, all the people you talk to on a daily basis, are you excited about the future of leisure travel, Zane?
Yeah, I am always excited about travel. There's so many places to go. There's so much of this great world to see. I think the Grand Craftsman has certainly built us something wonderful here to enjoy, and I love all the modern technology that allows us to go places and to see places and to see, and I love it. I mean, travel is obviously in my blood, but it's so instructive. It destroys your sense of ethnocentrism. You learn about other people's values and other people's heroes, and you get to see things you never saw. So I mean, yeah, I'm hooked.
Zane Kerby, everyone, President and CEO of ASTA, the American Society of Travel Advisors. Zane, thanks again for your time and that amazing insight. And thank you for making our 150th episode of On Deck with Avoya so special.
Thanks, Chris. Great to be with you.
Absolutely. Next week, Tegan's mom's got it going on is Carrie Fredericks. Yeah, we're a family kind of company. Carrie Fredericks, who happens to be Tegan's mom. That's why I make that joke. She's going to be joining us again, the Director of Independent Agency Support of Avoya Travel. Carrie tells it like it is. I can't wait for that Q&A next week. Let's quickly touch base on a couple of our promotions, including our ongoing Avoya military discount for veterans and their spouses, both active and retired. $100 off that curriculum at the Avoya Travel Academy, or $100 off to join at Avoya Network. And again, my team more than happy to provide those details for you. The Avoya Travel Academy continues to do amazing things, and they're just adding more and more on a daily basis. I always tell you to think pro. There's more reasons for that than ever. Again, get all the information at avoyanetwork.com on the award-winning Avoya Travel Academy. It gets you right into the resources that we offer, which are top of the line, best in class. Our agent power technology is amazing. Our marketing assets amazing. Our live leads are just game changing. I mean, again, reach out, find out all the details at avoyanetwork.com. Give us a follow. We're everywhere on social media, growing all the time now on TikTok and Pinterest at Avoya Travel Network. And we certainly appreciate all the questions that we get in there from our various social media channels on a weekly basis. There's lots of ways to reach out. The social, there's the old-fashioned way with an email at chris.green@avoyatravel.com, or pick up the phone. Love getting those phone calls. But again, avoyanetwork.com, get that information, get the process started. And who knows, maybe we can put together a shared success relationship that Avoya Travel is known for, and you can be part of the Avoya network. A big thank you again to Zane Kerby, who made our 150th episode so special with that fantastic Q&A. Thanks again to Trade Marketing with Marissa and Tegan, handling the producing duties. Thank you for being part of our show for 3+ years now. We appreciate it. Onward and upward, we continue. We're excited about the future of leisure travel ourselves. So until next week, take care, everyone.